idea for the show.
I still don't know what the idea is.
It's about nothing.
Right.
Everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing.
They say, what's your show about? I say nothing.
There you go.
I think you may have something here.
Cross Coast Spice presents the League About Nothing podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We have our Week 13 recap, and we are 1 week closer to the playoffs. Al, how do you feel about the playoff, the eve of the playoffs here?
1 week closer to heartbreak.
Well, for 11 of us anyways.
Well, I mean, half the league's already had their heartbreak.
That's
One
true.
more is going to get it this week, and then two more the following week.
We've eliminated 6. It's 5 more of us to go. Okay, we had a league median this week of 182.58, a little bit lower than we've had the last couple, but not anything unusual. We go back this week to having a few more teams on bye, which I got to say I absolutely hate in week 14 as we are trying to make a playoff push. This is basically the worst time to be without your guys.
Yeah, we talked about it last week that it's dumb, and it continues to be dumb. Sorry if you have 49ers, Patriots, Giants. What's the other team?
That's a great question. I don't know. I was really hoping that you did.
Those are the only 3 I can remember.
Let's see. NFL week 13. No, let's go to week 14. What do we got? Panthers. Panthers are the other one.
Yeah.
So there's actually
Unfortunate.
fantasy relevant players on all of those teams. I mean, even the Giants, who are 2-11 now, have guys like Dart, and there are definitely teams out there starting Wandale, especially in PPR.
Yep. Yeah, he went back to his PPR scam ways this week with Dart back under center.
He did.
We miss Jameis. We miss Jameis.
There was a couple plays. Yes, Jameis. I was at the game. Jameis is extremely active on the sideline. Anytime anyone gets near him, he's just jawing. Same team, other team, ref, doesn't matter. That man is just talking the entire game. It was hilarious.
He is engaged. Love to see it.
Okay, we have a few trades to get to. We don't really have any waivers to discuss this week. There was a waiver run. There was no one of note. I'm pretty sure half of them were $0 bids by you who are no longer on your roster. So we're just going to gloss right over that.
Sounds accurate.
Yeah. The important thing to note is that you dropped Fitzpatrick. So everyone, for next week, the waiver claim for Fitzpatrick should be $13. Please remember that. We have 3 trades to discuss, though. We've had some interesting discussion in the league chat about a couple of these. Actually, about all of them, but all for some of it for different reasons. All right, let's start in chronological order here. We had a trade between Big and JMC. This one was the headliner here. Big picked up JJ McCarthy, Devon Achane, Brandon Cooks, and Chiga Okonkwo. In return, JMC picked up Sam Laporta, Calvin Ridley, Braylon Allen, Caleb Johnson, Deontay Thornton, and 2 picks, a 2027 first attached to Big's roster and a 2026 fourth attached to Mel's roster. There's a lot of big pieces moving in this one. We got a starting quarterback, a top 5 dynasty running back, a top 5 dynasty tight end, and a first round pick, plus a bunch of other smaller pieces.
Yeah, a lot of one-time promising assets changing hands here.
Thornton and Johnson, the preseason darlings. I guess Allen too, for that matter.
We got a lot of hype from those guys early in the year. I mean, Ridley too. I mean, I know he's out for the season now with a broken leg,
Right.
but he really didn't deliver on the off-season hype either.
Ridley has been floating by on off-season hype for about 4 seasons now.
Yeah, well, this was JMC buying a lot of post-hype players.
Yep. He also picks up the first round pick as well, which it's not until 2027, but he's already traded away his own 2026 first round pick, and he doesn't really have a lot of capital in this next draft, but adding that extra first round pick a year out gives him the flexibility to either buy in this year or just hold and have 2 picks in the future.
Yeah, we can talk about the minor pieces, but really the important pieces here are Achane, JJ McCarthy, and then Laporta in the first round pick swapping.
Exactly.
This was a huge need for JMC. He's been chasing tight end for the longest time in this league. He took Loveland early with
Aren't
a
we
pick that he
all?
traded into. We're all chasing you at tight end. He traded into this last draft to get Loveland, who started slow but has come on of late. And yeah, went after Laporta now that he's out for the season.
Yeah, smart to go after a guy like that who doesn't normally come on the market. We don't see a lot of trades with tight ends of this caliber.
Yeah, I mean, tight ends are difficult to acquire, or so we thought in this league. We'll get to some later trades, but historically, tight ends haven't been the easiest to acquire. We saw some of the prices that Flea had to pay a couple weeks ago to get some young upside tight ends. A guy like Laporta who's already established himself with a tight end one season. But yeah,
Sure.
we've seen the prices on tight ends. So, a guy that's as young as Laporta, who's already flashed tight end one upside, you're gonna have to pay the iron price to get a guy like that. And he certainly did. I mean, he gave up H&H, who's young star running back, capable of huge spike weeks. We've seen him single-handedly keep JMC in matchups where he has no business being in all season. On the terrible Dolphins offense, he's been the entire offense all year.
2 years running now.
Yep. And he also gave up JJ McCarthy, who was once very hyped by multiple members of
And
this
the
league,
once and future king.
especially. Some of us haven't given up on him yet, but yeah, he hasn't
Wait
gotten
a
off
minute.
to a
Some of
beautiful
us,
start.
some of us implies that you're counting yourself among those. Where I don't think
no.
that's accurate.
No, I never believed in him. I didn't like him from the start. I was very sad. I really wanted Michael Penix to go to Minnesota.
That would have been nice to see. I think for
I would have much rather
Penix.
had Penix go to Minnesota and JJ McCarthy go sit behind Cousins and develop, but that's not how it worked out in the draft, unfortunately. And now both of these players are at career crossroads for different reasons.
Yep.
And I don't think either team is as happy with their picks right now. So we'll see. At least JJ McCarthy should be able to play some more games this year. I mean,
Yeah, they've announced that he's cleared concussion protocol.
Yeah, they saw Max Brosmer start this week, and they said, "Oh, JJ's fine. He's fine." Just kidding. He wasn't concussed at all.
So he's cleared. He'll come back and start. For Big, this is a trade that gets him H&H. I think is probably the most important piece for his roster because I was just talking to you before we started recording. There's not a lot of available impact players out there right now, and H&H was one of them. Yes, you had to pay a high price for him, a steep price, but none of these guys were going to produce or do anything for Big this year. And more importantly, none of them are going to do anything for Big this week. And we are in the last week of the season right now, and Big has a 1-game lead over your team and Mel's team for that second bye spot, but he's in a very difficult matchup against your team.
Yep. He needs to beat me to secure the bye.
Yeah, so if he beats you, chances are he'll be over the median. But he needs to beat you and stay over the median, and then it doesn't matter what anyone else does.
Right.
Unlucky for him, basically, that he only has that 1-game lead, or he might have been able to maybe negotiate a little bit more to wait a little bit and negotiate a better deal. Maybe not.
No, this trade was 100% Big trying to win now. I know he loves JJ McCarthy and he wanted to buy low, and that's his flag that he's planted. He believes in the guy, which, he was a highly touted prospect, got drafted early on. He's only had 6. Are we up to 7 starts yet?
I think we're still at 6. I'm not sure.
6
it's
starts
not a
in
lot.
his career.
It's a very small number of starts.
His career is not over yet, despite what many in the media would lead you to believe. His career is not over. They're not going to cut him.
Rumors of his death have been greatly over exaggerated.
They're not going to cut him in the off season. He's going to be there. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings for the rest of the season as long as he's healthy, because they have nothing to gain by benching him. So he's going to be out there. They got to see what they have in him now at this point, see if he can develop. So, I mean, that's quarterback depth there. You know, you're only going to get something out of him. He got a tight end who's playing in Chig Okonkwo. He's not a world beater, but it's some tight end depth. Give him a little bit more of a floor with Laporta giving him
Yeah,
zeros
10
for
points
the
this
rest of the
week.
year. And even Brandon Cooks. I mean, you never know how that Buffalo rotation shakes out over the next couple of weeks.
I don't want to know how that Buffalo. There's so many guys there. Like they brought in Gabe Davis, they brought in Brandon Cooks. They still have Palmer. They still have Shakir.
Right.
Shavers is around. Like there's so many guys.
They cut Eli Moore. Palmer is hurt. Samuel's on IR. Like they're just cycling through role players. I mean, Cooks can be a role player. You know, if he can pick up the offense quickly, he's a veteran. He's been in enough offenses. He's put up 1,000-yard seasons and for how many different teams now? He's a useful
4 different
piece.
teams, is it? Was it New Orleans, New England, Rams, and Texans?
It's better than what he was getting out of Thornton and Ridley and Braylon Allen and Johnson. I mean, the guys that he gave up were essentially giving him zeros, just taking up roster spots.
Right.
He doesn't have IR spots to spare. We've talked about how many guys he has injured all year. So this was about winning now. H&N is a matchup flipping player. He can win you a week by himself, which is what matters in the playoffs, the ultimate ceiling. That's what's going to win out. I mean, we've seen it year after year. He did it himself last year. So this was a trade designed to try to win immediately and defend his crown from last year. And for JMC, I mean, he's taken lots of shots on guys. He just needs more players, more contributors on this roster. And he took a lot of shots on guys that have a chance to develop into more and be more than what we saw this year. You know, Thornton didn't really establish himself like people were hoping in the preseason, but it's still a wide open receiving room. You know, he was a little raw coming out. It's possible that with another year of development, maybe a better quarterback situation next year, you know, maybe he can develop into more. Caleb Johnson, again, same thing. He kind of got buried there and fumbled his early chances, you know, but there could be more there. They took him early in the draft where they were expecting more. You got to think they give him more chances. Same thing with Allen. He's been hurt all year. You know, he looked like he was going to force himself into a bigger timeshare with Brees. We don't know what's going to happen with Brees in the offseason. He's a free agent. Could he come into more work? Ridley could get healthy, find himself in a better situation. We know what Laporta can do. He'll be healthy next year. Plus the draft picks, the 2027 first being the big one, obviously.
Right. Yeah, it's always great to get extra first round picks.
Yeah, he took a lot of shots on guys that can improve their value next season, which is what he's looking for. If he can just hit one or two of these depth pieces, turn into something close to a weekly contributor, that's a huge win. Those are the kind of guys he really needs.
Yeah. A couple things that I think help both of these teams be able to do this is the fact that I believe that JMC is a little bit more confident in his quarterbacks now than he was a couple weeks ago. Like, you know, we've seen some proof of concept with Dart. Cam Ward has looked a bit better, which I think let him be able to move on from McCarthy without getting another quarterback back. If he's soured on McCarthy, if he doesn't believe the way he used to, then it makes sense for him to take the out now when he has it available.
Yeah, if you consider H&N and Laporta are pretty equal assets in this type of scoring format, then you know, getting a 2027 first, which allegedly is a loaded class for a guy, JJ McCarthy, that maybe you've seen enough, kind of like Mr. Good News cashing out on Cam Ward after half a season saying, you know what, I'll just re-roll this first into something else. You know, it's not a terrible strategy. You're kind of getting out before the floor drops out if you think it's going to happen.
And for Big, taking that shot on JJ also isn't a super risky one because he's looking at him as his quarterback 4 right now. He's already got Baker, both guys in Arizona, depending on who's healthy and starting right now. It's either Kyler or Brissett, but right now it's Brissett. He's got Purdy, and even if Purdy gets hurt again, he's got Mac Jones, and that puts JJ at his 4th quarterback, which, again, we've said it, we should be probably done second-guessing Big's quarterback moves here because it usually makes us look stupid in the long run.
Yeah, it's all upside for him now.
Right. And even if it's doesn't work out great this year, if he still believes going into next year, that means he's got another quarterback like Baker or Purdy or Brissett or not Brissett, shoot, Kyler. Not that he's going to move Kyler, but he can move one of those guys and still have 3 starting quarterbacks going into the season.
Yeah, and at this rate, Mac Jones may
Yeah,
get traded to a quarterback
right.
needy team in the offseason.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next trade. Fewer pieces involved in this next one. It was between Mel and Mr. Good News. Mel picked up Michael Carter and Shedeur Sanders. And in return, Mr. Good News picked up Mason Rudolph, Spencer Rattler, and a 2027 fifth attached to JMC's roster. Much lower stakes on this one than first round picks and tight ends flying around, but also still an interesting trade.
At first, it seems like Mr. Good News is just shedding points, right? Getting rid of Carter and Sanders, because now Sanders is probably going to start the rest of the year as been in full evaluation mode all season. They gave Gabriel enough starts. Now they're going to give Sanders some starts here to close it out to see how he does. And Michael Carter working in a timeshare while Benson continues to be out and DeMarcado continues to be out. So he presumably wanted the points off his roster, but he's already pretty much locked up the 101. I think he's got over 100-point lead now for the 101. He really doesn't need shed points anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure what he was getting back. I know he got a 5th round pick and he got a couple of other backups, but yeah, I don't know. I think I probably would have just sat on Sanders and hoped maybe he could actually win a job long term. It'd probably be worth more than a 5th round pick and a couple of backups that you could probably get off waivers.
Yeah, this one did strike me as a little unusual. Like you said, he had the lead in the points going into this week. He had been outscored by Judd last week by I think like 75 points or something like that, and he already had a lead before that. Shedding Sanders didn't seem like a necessary move to me. Maybe he felt differently and he just wanted to take no chances, which, if that was the reasoning behind it, that's fine. Maybe there was another reason. Maybe he just truly doesn't believe in Sanders. Maybe I don't really know the thought process behind this one. For Mel, it's pretty easy. He's trading guys that aren't starting for a guy that is at the right time of year, pays that 5th round pick to get there. I mean, that's, I don't think any of us are going to pretend like a 5th round pick is a big deal.
5th round pick for a starting quarterback is a pretty good deal.
Yeah. So again, this one, Mr. Good News has clearly had a plan this whole time. He's been operating with intent all year. So obviously this wasn't just a nothing move. Like, this is something that he clearly thought about and was part of the overarching, strategy for his team. But I'm not sure what that was.
My guess is that he viewed Sanders as a backup level player, and he probably said, well, 2 backups are better than 1 plus a free 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Take it. I mean, that's the only thing I can think is just kind of multiplying his backup quarterbacks that he has available to trade later on. If that's
what it is, if he thinks Sanders is going to be the backup going into next year and he's just getting 2 backups instead of 1, okay, I can get with that. That makes sense, because each backup you have is essentially worth a 4th or a 5th at some point in the future when they're starting for a couple weeks and someone needs a fill in. But also Sanders is young enough and the situation is odd enough around him that maybe you could have gotten more. I don't know. I wasn't offering, so I can't speak to what other people valued him at, but it does look a little strange.
Yeah. Well,
now for Mel,
I can't imagine that people were knocking down the door for Shedeur Sanders.
That's what I said. I wasn't offering, so I don't want to be like, oh, you could have gotten better than this. Like, I wasn't offering him better than this, so maybe he couldn't have. I don't know.
Yeah. That would be my guess. He probably wanted to get something for him.
Okay, well, good for Mel. Picks up an extra starter right now, and quarterback depth has been up and down for Mel this year. He's gone through quite a few different starters. He's outfield. He's got Kirk Cousins going right now. He had Josh Allen in his lineup every week, basically. But outside of Allen, it's been kind of a rotating door at quarterback too, and having just an extra option with Sanders, even if it's not necessarily a big ceiling, is still useful.
Yeah, definitely helps raise the floor at least. He's been struggling at quarterback for most of the season. So it's definitely helpful to have a better floor. And this was about as cheap as you could have filled that spot. So it's good. We'll call it resourceful.
All right, we've got one last trade to get to. This one also was a trade for Mel. Mel picked up Dalton Schultz and Juwan Johnson, and this was a trade with Criddle. In return, Criddle picked up Jonnu Smith, Noah Fant, Justice Hill, and Jamari Thrash. Raise your hand if you were unaware that Thrash was still on someone's roster. So I'm counting 6, 7, 8. Oh, there's only two of us.
He was on my roster at one point.
We all make mistakes, Al. It's okay.
Well, he was also projected to be the Browns' starting slot receiver at one point. So this is a long time ago.
I'm assuming they traded Thrash because Bell was unavailable.
Yeah, forced to retire.
Yeah. Okay, so this one caused a bit of a stir in the league chat, to put it mildly.
A bit.
A bit.
Whacking a hornet's nest with a baseball bat.
We'll put it this way. It looks like Mel got a pretty good deal on this one. We heard this from a couple of different people in league chat, as one of the people pointed out elsewhere. These are two top 10 tight ends in terms of scoring on the season, numbers 10 and 7, which we don't see a lot of movement from tight ends that are scoring that well. And this is a very timely pickup for Mel's team on the eve of the playoffs.
Yeah, we've been talking the last few weeks since Kraft went down what he was going to do at tight end, because we know it's difficult to acquire tight ends and he didn't really have any picks left and he was going to have to get creative. And he managed the Waller trade a couple of weeks ago. We thought was smart, cheap pickup for him for his depth. And then he went and pulled this rabbit out of his hat and managed to get two very useful tight ends for a bunch of guys that are not as useful.
Jonnu is obviously capable of more. We've seen him, last year he was tight end 4. This year, obviously that hasn't taken place this year. He's on a different team in a different situation.
Yeah.
Fant, the argument for this is that maybe Jonnu returns to form next year. Maybe Fant, with the return of Burrow, steps up and stays there, and next year has a better year. You can't argue age because all of these guys are between 28 and 30. It's two 29-year-olds for a 28 and a 30-year-old. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not that I don't like it. It's just it's difficult for me to understand the reasoning behind the trade. Normally when we see rebuilders, they're getting something, draft picks, young players, something where you have some kind of future upside, even if it's guys that are not performing. Like we just saw JMC pick up a bunch of guys that haven't really done anything or are injured. At least they have a path, even if it's not a easily projectable path or an easily hit path. There's something there that gives you hope. For Jonnu and Fant, at this point, I guess if they're both on 1-year deals, so they're both going to be free agents. It's probably not a very strong tight end draft. So it's possible they both end up in better situations than they're in right now. Because right now they're both in 4 tight end rotations where they're not playing very much. Then they're not contributing basically at all for fantasy this year. Could they end up as primary tight ends on new teams in better offenses next year? It's possible. But Schultz and Juwan are already in those situations. So I just, it's hard to understand why you swap the uncertainty for certainty. There wasn't a whole lot else in this deal. Justice Hill and Jamari Thrash. Thrash probably shouldn't even be on a roster. He's probably not going to be on an NFL roster very long. And Justice Hill is now injured, but he's a very niche role player passing down back on a team that doesn't pass, and they have other guys behind Derrick Henry that have been playing more and playing better this year. So I don't. It's hard for me to defend it from Criddle's side because I don't really know what his rationale was.
Well,
We'll have to wait for that.
I say he popped into league chat briefly while everyone was, was up in arms about it, but he didn't really say much about it. He just said he'd wait for his day on in the court of podcast opinion, essentially. So I'm sure at some point
We'd like to hear from you, Criddle.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point he'll comment on it, but as of right now, it doesn't appear as though it's a terribly popular trade among the folk of the league. Obviously, I'm sure Mel's happy. He's got immediately useful
Yeah.
depth.
I would assume that Mel was happy with this trade. That's probably not a question.
The only thing we can say for sure is that Big and JMC were not fans of this trade.
Yeah, they seem unhappy.
JMC bringing his us rebuilders need to band together and charge more stance to the forefront, which I thought was interesting.
Hey, well, it just cost him Devon Achane to get his tight end. So
yeah. All right, well, that those were all the trades that we had. It will be interesting to see what future trades occur because, as you and I were talking about before, we're going to have one team get eliminated this week. We have 3 teams competing for 2 spots, and we'll find out who doesn't make it and see if that person wants to cash in on any aging pieces afterwards.
Yep.
But that's all the trades we have for now. So let's go take a look at those matchups, I guess. I mentioned it before. Our league median this week was 182.58 points, and our top scoring team this week was Mel's team. Mel put up 250.53, and he played against my team. He beat me with a score of 232.47. I was our 4th highest scoring team this week. I am wildly disappointed in this.
Does it feel good to be on the other side of this?
No, I don't even care about that. The fact that I lost 2 games this year and they were both to Mel is what kills me. I had the chance this week. If I didn't lose this one, I would have set the new best record in league history, which I'm going to miss out on. I'm going to tie, I think. But anyway.
Well, last year Big took 2 losses to Flea, and then they met in the finals. So,
ooh, I like that. I like where your head's at. So what you're saying is that Mel and I are going to put up the 1st and 5th or 6th highest scores of all time in the finals this year? Sign me up. I better be on the right side of that, or you people will never hear the end of it. All right, this matchup, though. Mel's team, he got a 40-point day out of A.J. Brown and a 30-point day out of Zach Ertz. Huge day for both these guys. They're best games of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mariota was forced to throw a career-high 50 pass attempts. So a lot of that went to Ertz.
Brissett-esque.
And AJ Brown, I mean, squeaky wheels, finally getting some grease here.
He's been squeaky all year. Every other week we hear, oh, he was, saying this to the media after the game. Oh, he was saying this on Twitch. Oh, he commented this in a players only meeting, whatever. They basically constantly are talking about what AJ Brown is complaining about this time. He had a 40-point day. I am thrilled that last week I came on here and trash talked AJ Brown, and then he dropped 40 points on me. That's just great.
Didn't help the Eagles win, though.
Yeah, small condolences, I guess. Also, like I said, with that 30-point day was Zach Ertz. You said Mariota was just looking to him constantly. These two combined for 70 points. That's gonna put your score up pretty high every week.
Yeah, because he really didn't have any other. He only had one other guy over 20 points, and he still put up the highest score of the week.
He had 2 guys over 20. He had Swift and Jamar Chase.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Both in that 22.5 point range, which solid days. Nothing insane, but solid. And Kelsey was just under 20, 19.75.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good week up and down the lineup. Didn't really have any, sore spots. Michael Carter, that trade paying off
Right.
with paying immediate dividends, got in his lineup, but that was his lowest score. So
Yeah.
was a good week, unfortunately for you.
Yep. Unfortunate for me. I'm on my side of things. A couple of 30-point days. Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice both combining for just around 32 points. Nice to see the stack working well, but unfortunately, still coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, they weren't coming up short. The rest of your roster had a bit of a down week.
Well, they did.
And even on a down week, you still had 232 points, which is a lot of teams' ceiling weeks. So it's pretty good.
They did come up short though. They lost the game. They lost to Dallas.
Well, it's just because Dallas is a juggernaut now.
Sure. Who knew?
Jared's got it all figured out.
A couple other players, Jerry. I don't know that Jerry has anything figured out right now. A couple other players over 20 points for my roster.
Spin the wheel.
Bowers with 26, Tyrod, excuse me, with 22, and James Cook with 20. Even outside of those guys on Mel's roster and my roster, no scores below 12 points, and Mel didn't have anything else below 16. He had, like you said, Carter at 12, everything else 16 and above. I guess his super flex 13, but a very solid week from a lot of these guys, but not a lot of ceiling really from anyone outside of Brown and Ertz and Mahomes and Rice. Those was the only ceiling games.
Yeah, these two teams are very good rosters. You guys are 1-2 on the year in points, right?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, probably will end up with the buys. We'll see what happens. Both of you have obviously easier paths to getting buys than myself and Big. Yours is basically mathematically guaranteed at this point. But
it is possible.
Big and Mel are still fighting.
It is possible that I go 0-2 and Mel outscores me by 260 points.
That seems like
I'm
it
sorry,
would be
210.
difficult.
210 is the gap right now.
Seems like it would be difficult to do that considering you're playing Mr. Good News this week.
If we're in a situation where my team can be outscored by 210, it means that I could be outscored by Mr. Good News as well.
That's fair. You would probably have lost to Mr. Good News in that scenario.
Okay, before we move on away from this matchup, we do have a couple of injuries to get to. For Mel's team, he had a couple. Aaron Jones hurt his shoulder in the third quarter, did not return to the game. He's been listed since as day-to-day.
Yeah, it's the same shoulder injury that he missed time with earlier. The same thing we talked about with his teammate, Jordan Mason, all year last year. This is an injury that can reoccur, especially in running backs. Right. So now they're listing him as day-to-day. They haven't said it's the severity or not. But again, even if he plays, he's at risk of re-injuring it basically on any play. So thankfully, this is a best ball where you don't have to worry about starting him or not. But yeah, it would be tough to trust him in lineups, even if he's active.
Yeah. Other injury on Mel's team, Parker Washington hurt his hip, left the game, did not return. I did not see an update on this one.
Yeah, me neither. This one happened on punt return, I believe. So it wasn't a lot of updates. We don't know if it's a hip flexor strain, then he could be out a couple of weeks. Not really sure. We'll have to get more updates as the practice reports roll in.
And it wouldn't be complete without another injury to my team as well. Justin Herbert, hand injury. Apparently he's going to have surgery, so that sounds terrible.
He did. He had successful surgery. He broke the bone that's essentially the ring finger on his non-throwing hand.
Yep.
So he played through it, minus one series this last week. They just put a glove with a padding in there and just didn't let him take any snaps under center. They've already talked about potentially bringing Lance in for any snaps where they need to go under center, like goal line stuff, which could hurt Herbert's touchdown upside if he's not in there in goal to go situations. And really, it hurts the whole offense because Trey Lance is not Justin Herbert. But I mean, if he's able to play through it, he played through it not super effectively, but if he can manage the pain, then he'll be out there.
I'd imagine he wants to be out there, but I'd imagine this is also a matter of, can he play effectively? Is there a risk of further injury? That sort of thing. They play the Monday night game this week, which for people who have Herbert in non-best ball leagues, that's a tough decision right there. You go with your backup. Do you try to wait it out for Monday? Not that it's a great matchup either way, but you might not have a better option.
Yeah, especially on the eve of the playoffs when you could be win or go home. That's unpleasant. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about that because you don't really need him for a couple more weeks. So at least you'll have some time to figure it out.
I am of the opinion that he should probably just sit this week and probably next week out. I think it's for the best.
Off.
Just take time, make sure you're healed, and can protect yourself. It's just how I feel.
Just doing
I have no
what's best for the
explanation
team.
for why I feel that way, but it seems like the best thing to do.
Just doing what's best for the team, and by team you mean your team, your fantasy team.
Are there other teams that would be relevant here? I don't.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
We've discussed this many times.
Right. I guess we'll see how he manages and how much time, if any, he misses. All right, let's move on to our next matchup. Our next highest scoring team, Al, was your team. You put up a 234.84, and you were up against Judd, who put up a 126.76. Judd was our 10th highest scoring team. Nice week for you. Second highest scoring team in the league.
Love to see it.
An interesting matchup here. There were no 30-point scores on either side of this. We had a good number of 20-point scores on your side, and we had a couple on Judd's as well. Let's start with Judd's. He had a 29-point day from Jordan Love and a 22-point day from Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, possibly the last hurrah from Vidal here with Hampton allegedly set to come off of IR on Monday, but I noticed that the Chargers made some moves. They signed Patterson to the active roster, and they signed Royce Freeman to the practice squad. Normally don't add a bunch of running backs if you're expecting your other running back to come off of IR this week, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to match up with what they've been saying, but were they out of elevations for Patterson maybe? Did they not want to lose him or something, I guess?
Well, they would have had to do it before the game if they were running out of elevations.
Yeah,
I know it happened after the game, so
that's fine.
I'm not sure if it's some kind of roster maneuvering what they're doing. I guess we'll find out. We won't get any practice reports until later in the week because they play on Monday. So
yeah, they'll have the extra day until Thursday to report a lot of this stuff.
yeah, and I think he's still on IR. They haven't activated him yet, so they really don't even have to release any of his reports.
Right. So solid days from those two for Judd. Not a whole heck of a lot else going on for his roster this week. A couple of 10-point days from some running back depth like Mitchell and Neal down there. All right, let's take a look at your roster because you were our second highest scoring team this week. You had some good games. No 30-point days, but a lot of 20-point days. Jared Goff with a 21.39 and Dak Prescott with a 22.6 for your quarterbacks. Couple of wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb 27.5 and Terry McLaurin finally breaking into that lineup with almost 27 points.
Trade is finally paying off. The one that everyone complained about for weeks. It's the first time he's been in my lineup all season.
Yeah, but how many times has Rodgers been in your lineup?
Also once this season. Got my money's worth on that trade. One star from each guy.
Listen, it's playoff push right now. This is when you want them producing. Earlier didn't matter as much. A couple of the guys at 20 points for you. Jacoby Myers 24 points and Evan Ingram 19.9. We'll call it a 20.
Yeah, it was nice to see Evan Ingram finally have a decent game. It's been a while, like all season. I know he padded his stats with that 40-yard catch in overtime, but I'll take it.
They all count.
I'll take it because McLaurin did the same thing. McLaurin had a long catch and a touchdown in overtime too.
Right.
It took extra frames, but I got the points.
You got good volume from Ingram, who had 6 catches for 79 yards, and Hawkinson also 6 catches for 59 yards.
Yeah, he was the only guy that Brosmer could throw to.
Right. He would survey the field and then just throw it to Hawkinson no matter what was going on.
Because Jefferson had the worst game of his career.
Oh man. I feel bad for Jefferson because he's It's not his fault.
Uh,
I did see him have one target where he probably could have caught the ball and he didn't. But at the same time, it wasn't an easy catch. And it was in like the fourth quarter where nothing has gone right. He's got to be so frustrated because
yeah.
he's on still a very historic pace for, he's only 26 still. He's on a historic pace for wide receiver numbers at each age checkpoint. And this is just probably killing him.
Yeah, just wasting prime years.
But good week for you. The Dak and CD Lamb stack combining for 50 points is something that I'm sure you love to see.
Yeah, about time.
About time.
Lamb's had issues with injuries and drops, and Pickens kind of has emerged there as the primary fantasy threat. So it's nice to see Lamb have a good game.
And one you've been kind of waiting on a little bit. Welcome back, Chris Godwin. 13 points in your lineup for the first time. I'm pretty sure this year.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge game, but he had he had two 30+ yard catches, so he got there with the yardage.
Yeah,
Wasn't a
78
great
yards
game.
on 3 catches, 5 targets.
Yeah, Baker was kind of playing banged up, but Godwin had a couple of nice connections. It's good to see, especially when we're probably going to get Mike Evans back pretty soon. And we've yet to see Evans, Godwin, and Egbuka all try to exist together. We'll see how that offense looks.
I'll bet you it'll look great for Baker.
Right. Bucky was finally back this week as well.
Yeah, solid day for him. We'll get to him when we get to Georgia Mike's lineup. Okay, before we move on, we just have one injury to talk about in this one. Amon-Ra St. Brown for Judd's team got his ankle rolled up on while he was blocking I think it was the first quarter of that game, and he left, did not come back. They've announced that it's a low ankle, so hopefully not too serious.
Yeah, they're not expecting him to miss too much time. And they got kind of a long break because they played on that Thanksgiving game, and they got a game this week. So it's almost 2 weeks if he only misses this one game.
Right. And they play this Thursday as well. So it's not a short week for them playing on Thursday, and they're playing against Dallas. I actually like this schedule thing. Dallas and Detroit both playing this Thursday, which means that neither one of them are on a short week, which means more time for the players to recover, but they still get that extra time on the other side of it.
Yep.
I don't love Thursday night football for the players' sake.
Yeah, they're not doing it for the players' sake.
No.
They're doing it to make more money.
Well aware of this. All right. Anything else you want to touch on here before we move on?
No, I mean, Judd would have had another 20-point performance if he had taken Joe Burrow off of IR, but has not activated him.
I didn't even notice that. He didn't do that. Well, it'll count for his max points for, but
yeah, doesn't help him try to avoid getting points on his max points, but it's his roster to do with what he wishes.
I can't imagine it was a high priority for him.
Would not have helped him win this matchup.
No. Okay. Our next highest scoring team was Big's team. This is interesting. You only outscored Big by about 0.58 points.
We'll see how close the matchup is next week, because the one we had earlier in the season was about that close as well.
Yeah, you guys, your teams have been strikingly similar a number of times this year. All right, so this week, Big put up a 234.26. He was our third highest scoring team, and he was up against Rug. Rug was our sixth highest scoring team with a 193.05, which means that both of these guys were over the median, which means Rug, again, wins the game and takes a loss.
Win. Yeah, but getting over that median was huge. He was the number 6 scorer. I mean, he needed it, or he would have been behind the 8-ball in the playoff race.
Right.
And he could not have afforded an 0-2 week this week. He needed to get that median win at least.
And he had to sweat this out because going into the Monday night game, Rugg had several players. He had Drake May, Hunter Henry, Theo Johnson, and Wandale Robinson, all of whom made his lineup
Yep.
yet to play. And he was down about 40 points to the team who ended up as the number 7 scoring team, which was Flea's team.
Yep.
All right. So in this matchup, we only had one player over 30 points. It was on Rugg's side of things. We had Dontavian Wicks with a 31-point even day.
Of course, Dontavian Wicks. Welcome
Exactly.
welcome to the season. Where have you been?
Exactly what we were waiting for. And again, this was
all season.
this was the first game on Thursday as well. So this is a great way for Rugg to start things off. But then his team did very, very little until Monday night.
This is a long break in between scoring points for this roster.
The only other players for Rugg's roster over the 20-point margin were his quarterbacks. Bryce Young ended up with 24.79, and Mariota ended up with a 24.51. And I said Drake May made his lineup. I misspoke earlier, so we'll scratch that bit. But solid days from his quarterbacks. Bryce Young has, in the last few weeks, bounced back and forth between really good and really bad fantasy days. In the last 6 games he's played, 20 points, 10 points, 1.0 points, 30 points, 9 points, 24 points. And I said the last 6 games, and then I read 7 games. But basically, he's been a top 12 quarterback 3 times and not a top 2 quarterback 4 times. I guess for best ball purposes, you take these because you get the big boom performances, but it's not something that you can really be comfortable with.
Yeah, hasn't exactly been a smooth, consistent run. But the ceilings have been higher than what they've been at basically any point of his career.
Yeah.
So at least that's something.
Right.
He's flashing a lot more upside than he has previously to go along with the low floor. So better.
So no other 20-point performances on the roster for Rugg's team, but solid days across most of the players there. For Big, however, a lot of 20-point days. No 30-point days, no 40-point days, anything like that. Almost a 30-point day out of Trey McBride, who I almost just called McBride to see if you'd get it, but that seems silly.
No idea.
Just his name is Trey, saying McBride 3 times. It's not a complicated or good joke. It's just
I was like, what Star Wars movie is this from?
there's, as far as I know, no character anywhere named McBride.
Okay, just checking.
At least we go back far enough to Easterbrook calling Brett Favre. Almost 30 points out of McBride, 21 points out of Jacoby Brissett, 21 points out of new acquisition H&H, 25 points out of Nico, and a 21-point day out of Christian Watson.
Yeah, H&H should have had more too. He didn't catch a pass this week. The only target he had basically a walk-in touchdown, and Tua rifled it over his head for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, he could have underhand tossed it to him and he would have walked in for a touchdown, and decided to fire it 1,000,000 miles an hour straight into the sky. So could have had an even bigger game, unfortunately.
Still, a 20 or 21-point day without any catches. That's pretty good.
Yeah, for a guy that gets a lot of his fantasy production off of receptions.
Yeah, and they won the game, but it was a bit of an odd affair there.
They've won several games in a row now, and they've all been ugly. They continue to grind out these horrible wins. I guess the one thing you can say when they didn't fire McDaniels was that the team hasn't given up, right? They haven't quit, because these are all games where they could have easily lost. Their team is not good, but they've taken advantage of a very weak schedule. And they've grinded out tough wins, like multiple wins in a row now. This is, it says something. I think, unfortunately, what it's going to say is it may buy him another year, which is probably going to lead to another disastrous season next year. Maybe get fired halfway through next year instead.
It does seem like we're trending towards him keeping his job, which seemed exceedingly unlikely about a month ago.
Impossible. Impossible.
Well,
He was in a lot of pools as the first coach to get fired this year.
yeah. Yep. Well, we didn't see that, but maybe next year, I guess. I don't know. Hey, if the team continues to respond and things improve, well, then maybe he'll stick around.
Yeah, it would be a very Dolphins thing to let him go all off season and into the starting season, and then after week one they get blown out and then they fire him. That would be amazing.
I hope for the sake of the Dolphins fans that doesn't happen. So this was a good matchup for both of these teams. Well, it was obviously better for Big's team, but for Rugg, as you said, it's very important that he got over the median. Big, very important that he gets the 2-0 week. There was chances that neither one of these things would happen, and it's interesting for the playoff picture to see these both play out this way.
Yeah, I mean, it was important for Big to maintain his slim lead in the bye week race, and it was important for Rugg to stay in the playoff hunt. So they both needed wins bad this week.
Speaking of needing wins bad, let's take a look at our next matchup. The next one was our next highest scoring team, I should say, was Georgia Mike's team. Georgia Mike put up a 225.50, and he was up against Flea. Flea put up a 172.12. Georgia Mike was our 5th highest scoring team, and Flea was our 7th highest scoring team. So this was our above and below the median matchup here. Flea finishes just on the wrong side of things, which gives her, unfortunately for her, the 0-2 week, and Georgia Mike takes the 2-0 week. What I did think was interesting was that our second highest, third highest, fourth highest, and fifth highest scores. So your team, Big's team, my team, and Georgia Mike's team were separated by less than 9 points. So a bit of a clump there for those 4 teams.
Yeah, and this matchup was probably the most important one of the week. I mean, It really flipped the playoff picture between Georgia Mike and Flea. The 2-0 versus 0-2. Now suddenly Georgia Mike is sitting pretty for the number 5 playoff spot.
He jumped both Flea and Rugg.
Yep, because he had the points tiebreaker already. Now he's got the win tiebreaker and the points. So he's sitting pretty now this last week. He doesn't have to sweat it out as much as the other 2 teams. And if he gets across the median this week, then he's pretty much wrapped up a spot.
Yeah, he needs to go 1-1 this week, whereas the other 2 both want to go 2-0, and it should, if they go 2-0, there's a good chance they'll get in, but there's a possibility that they both end up as 1-1 or even 0-2, and somebody sneaks in anyways.
Yeah, and pretty much all of the matchups this week are haves against have-nots, besides Big in my matchup. Georgia Mike plays Cradle, which should be a head-to-head win. Flea plays JMC. JMC's he's had a puncher's chance every week, but again, that should be a head-to-head win. And Rugg plays Judd, which again should be a pretty easy head-to-head win. Yeah. So a lot of it's going to come down to the median. Having that extra win right now in the bank is huge for his playoff chances.
All right, so let's take a look at how he got that win. There were 2 players in this matchup over 30 points, 1 on each side. For Georgia Mike, he had Jameson Williams with a 31-point day, and Flea had Bijan Robinson with an almost 33-point day.
Yeah, Bijan continuing to do Bijan things. Almost 200 yards of offense, even though they lost the game to the Jets of all people. But Jamo was huge. When Amon-Ra went down early, Jamo became the focal point of the passing offense. No Laporta, no Amon-Ra early on. It became the Jamo show.
Yeah, he did it all, and he looked good doing it. It's just speaks to they probably should have been getting him more touches all along, which, to be fair, the coaching staff has said, yeah, we need to get him more involved. We need to get him more work. But they just then would not do that. And then they were forced to this week, and he looked fantastic.
They replaced their offensive play caller.
Right.
Dan Campbell took over play calling and said, I'll do it myself.
Yeah. So he looked great, and if Amon-Ra St. Brown misses some time, it comes at the right time for Georgia Mike. And I doubt that Judd is gonna lose any sleep over his star receiver not playing.
What about the toilet bracket?
I'm gonna say I don't think he cares on that one.
He's probably got a bye in the first round anyway.
Oh,
So.
he absolutely has a bye. Him and Mr. Good News will have those first round buys. All right. So for Flea's
Full
team,
toilet bowl bracket breakdown coming soon, folks.
please no. You'll be doing that part solo. All right. For Flea's team, a couple players over 20 points in this one. It was Devontae Adams, who had a 24-point day, and Alec Pierce, who had a 20-point day.
2 more touchdowns for Adams. That's all he does.
At least one of them was more than 4 yards away from the goal line this time.
When they get in close, man, he's so good.
The best goal line receiver I've ever seen. Okay, I don't think that was a phrase before now. Anyway,
Well, I can tell you he's now the all-time leader in NFL history for 1-yard receiving touchdowns.
I'm not even mildly surprised to hear this. I
You know
guess
You know who number 3 on that list is?
number 3. Should I know this?
It's your good friend that's made you a lot of money over the years with your random bets.
Is it Mercedes Lewis?
It is.
Awesome.
It is indeed. Number 3 all time in 1-yard touchdown receptions.
That doesn't shock me either, but also he played for, is this his 22nd year or something insane like that?
Right. Yeah, it's Adams, Jimmy Graham, and Mercedes Lewis. 1, 2, 3 all time.
All right, that's fair. So for Flea's team, this is a tale as old as time. Her tight ends were Luke Musgrave, 4.55, and Tommy Tremble, 1.95 on 1 reception for 2 yards. We've got to get Flea an approximation of a real tight end room, because her roster puts up decent points every week. If she just got, 12 points from each of her tight ends here, she's tied with Rugg essentially.
Man, if only she could have traded for a couple of top 10 tight ends on the season. Guys like, I don't know, Schultz or Juwan Johnson, even a guy like Darren Waller, worth taking a shot on, It's just too bad those guys aren't available.
Right. Well, they're definitely not available now. But I'm told that in 4 weeks there won't be a market for them, so maybe she should try then.
Yeah, another problem, a guy that we're not seeing in the lineup is Sam Darnold. He's kind of come apart at the seams the last few weeks. He was obviously a lineup staple for her all season long.
I'm
With
going to say that might not necessarily be on Darnold, but also a factor of the team. Last week, or what was it, 2 weeks ago, whenever they played the Rams, okay, you could put that one on Darnold. They won 26-0 this week. Darnold didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, fair, but that doesn't help for fantasy.
No,
in the last 4 weeks, he has one game against Tennessee where he put up almost 20 points.
Yeah.
And then against the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Vikings, he's put up 5 points, 4 points, and 0 points. That's a bit of a problem when you don't have a ton of quarterback depth.
Yeah. This is part of what you get with the Darnold experience, though. He has big games, but he also has games where he turns the ball over, or where he disappears, or where he just turns into a pumpkin for a week. It's gonna happen sometimes. I don't know that there's really a way around it. You take the good with the bad.
Yeah, it's just hard when you only have 2 starting quarterbacks.
Right.
One of them is giving you 0 points. It's going to be a problem for your floor.
Right. Well, there are starting quarterback options out there for.
Could have traded a 5th for Shedeur Sanders.
Well, sure. I was going to say, like the 1 week starters, like if Herbert misses a week, there's the Trey Lances of the world who can. I don't remember whose roster Trey Lance is on, but I'm guessing they would probably be willing to part with him for something fairly minor. There are.
I thought he was on your roster. Did you get rid of him?
I did. I cut him earlier in the year.
I'll tell you right now.
I'm guessing he's on Mr. Good News'
He's
team.
on Rugg's roster.
Okay, so maybe Rugg wouldn't part with him, but my point is there are players out there who you can try to slap something together with for a couple weeks here when a guy gets hurt.
Yep.
It's that, finding real long-term depth is probably not in the cards at this time of year, but a quick Band-Aid might be a possibility.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We got
Yeah.
one more week to go. See what happens next week, and then it's a whole different trade market.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Georgia Mike's side of this matchup because he had a good day. We mentioned the 30-point day from JMO. We had 20-point days from Trevor Lawrence with 22. Devin Singletary, who came in relief of the injured Tracy and put up 20 points. Kyle Pitts, 23 points. Monangai with 20 points. And Chase Brown just shy with a 19. 19.8, I should say. He was real close.
Yeah, Singletary's had a red zone role ever since Scadwell's gone down. So it's just a matter of adding to that role now with a lot of early down and passing down work with Tracy out. So if Tracy misses time, I know they're on bye this week, but that could be a very useful piece for him in the first round of the playoffs.
Right. And they appear to trust Singletary. Singletary is what he is, but he's a professional. He's not going to screw up. He knows the right thing to do. He'll make the plays that are there to be made. And coaches like that sort of thing. Reliable guys.
He's a lot better than most running back threes we've seen thrown out there.
All right. What else do we have here? Colby Parkinson in the lineup again, 11.2 points, 4 catches, 27 yards. I think that we may have found the somewhat reliable tight end 2 for this team.
Yeah, he's playing. I mean, 4 straight double-digit games. He's playing about 65% of the snaps in the last month or so. So he's out there. And when you're out there on the Rams passing offense, you're going to come away with targets and catches and yards and occasionally touchdowns. I mean, that's enough to crack most of these lineups. Doesn't take much. The big thing for him going forward is that Bucky Irvin's finally back.
Yeah, Bucky Irving, 17 carries, 61 yards and a touchdown, couple of catches, 20 yards. Nice to see him back. He looked pretty good.
Didn't exactly ease him in. 17
no,
carries.
Right to the fire. 20 touches. Here you go. Welcome back.
They said, well, we're gonna go with the hot hand. They gave Sean Tucker 2 carries that he turned into 0 yards, and they banished him to the bench for the rest of the season.
Every time Tucker comes in and produces, they say, "Yeah, we're going to get him more. We're going to get him more work. We're going to use more. He's going to get more involved." And then it just does not happen.
Nope. We see this every year now.
All right, for Georgia Mike in that super flex spot at quarterback 2, Daniel Jones with a 16.64. He's got a broken leg right now.
Well, we were laughing a few weeks ago when he was playing with the bloodied mouth, and you're like, oh, somehow he doesn't look tough even when he's doing tough stuff. Now he's playing through a broken leg.
That's pretty tough on the tough
Anthony
scale.
Richardson could never.
Anthony Richardson can't even play backup with a broken face.
Yes, he came out of a game because he was tired. Daniel Jones out there playing on a broken leg.
He hasn't looked as good as he has in a couple weeks. I guess this is a reasonable explanation for that.
Yeah, he's looked more like Giants era Daniel Jones than Indianapolis era Indiana Jones.
Right. Well, 16.64 still a solid fantasy day. It's not huge, but I think if it's your quarterback 3, you take that every time.
Right. It's just useful depth if he's out there because the offense is good. They're going to score points. So it's nice. It's a nice floor to have.
Let's move on to our next matchup. Our next highest scoring team was Flinch's team. Flinch was our 8th highest scoring team. He put up a 160.68 and was up against Mr. Good News, who was our 12th highest scoring team with a 75.25. As you may have guessed from the fact that he had 75 points, there were no 20 or 30 point scorers for Mr. Good News' team.
Shocking.
His highest scoring player was Jaden Higgins with a 14.75. So solid day for Higgins. He continues to look like he'll be the wide receiver 2 in Houston going forward. But let's take a brief look at Flinch's team because 160 points isn't nothing. We had 3 players in that 20-point range. 22.5 from RJ Harvey, almost 28 points from Vandelay, which I don't think we've seen that ever in his career, and a 19.9 from Jalen Coker, which was a solid day.
Yeah, Olave was banged up. He had some back spasms late in the week in practice, so wasn't sure if he was going to play at all. Not sure if he was playing limited, but yeah, Vele really stepped up in this game as the wide receiver one for the Saints.
Yeah, good for him. Nice to see. They traded for him earlier this year. I guess it makes sense that they want to use him.
Yeah, they gave up almost as much as Dallas gives up to get George Pickens. Hasn't been quite the same return for the Saints.
Not everyone can be as smart as Jerry Jones.
But finally got some return on that investment here this week.
Good to see Coker finally getting a decent game. There was a lot of preseason hype for him, and it really hasn't manifested. He was injured for the first, 7 weeks, I think.
Half the season.
Yeah. So he's only been playing for a few games, but this was by far his best game. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, they really needed a secondary target to kind of step up pretty much all year behind Tet. And, maybe we're going to finally get the Coker breakout that everyone was so excited for. He flashed a lot last year. I mean, a lot more than we normally see from undrafted rookie free agents. So got a lot of people hyped and just, hasn't really delivered, but this was a nice game finally.
Okay, we don't really have to spend a whole lot of time on this one. Decent games for Komet and Brenton Strange for Flinch. Okay game for Adam Troutman. In case anybody wanted to trade for Adam Troutman, I'm sure Mr. Good News would be willing to part with him.
Yeah, the big piece for him is Higgins has kind of been a consistent fantasy contributor over here the back half of the year, which is nice because Houston runs this ugly 7 receiver rotation, and none of them are really super productive. But Higgins has actually been pretty consistent, at least the last month or so, which is nice to see.
Right, and important to get out of at least a few guys on his roster this year to have proof of being able to build the roster going forward. So guys like Higgins, Igbukah that have shown they are capable of being productive fantasy pieces. It's important for Mr. Good News and his long-term roster.
Yeah, considering he was basically starting from zero.
Exactly.
It's nice to have a couple of building block pieces there.
Okay, we have one final matchup to get to. We can kind of get through this one pretty quick. This was between Criddle and JMC. JMC was our next highest scoring team. He was our 9th highest scoring team with a 135.06, and Criddle was our 11th highest scoring team with a 122.95. Both of these guys only had one player over that 20-point margin. For Criddle, it was Chuba Hubbard with 22 points, and for JMC, it was Adonai Mitchell at 28 points.
You say inconsequential matchup. I say tush push grudge match. This was an important matchup for these two teams.
Was it?
In my mind, it was.
Okay, there you go. We don't have to. We really don't have to get into what's in your mind. That is. We don't have time for that. We don't have the budget for that. Oof. I don't have the.
That's a whole different show.
Necessary degrees for that. No. This was a matchup between two teams that have combined for 11 wins on the season. We got a couple of guys showing flashes, same as always, but mostly not a ton going on here. If there's anyone you want to touch on, by all means, feel free.
I mean, it's nice to see AD Mitchell finally have a big game for the Jets. He's been getting a lot of work. They've essentially switched
percentage.
They essentially switched to Tyrod so they could evaluate these young receivers they traded for to see if any of them are going to be worth keeping on the roster for next year. Mechie and Mitchell, and they both flashed now. A couple weeks now, we've seen Mechie get in the end zone. Now we saw Mitchell have a big game, so that's nice. Nice to see some other young guys like Tesla step in a bigger role, score another touchdown. He seems to pop for random touchdowns every once in a while.
It's all he does.
Speaking of random touchdowns, yeah, Kyle Williams, same thing. We saw him catch a pass from Drake May. You saw it live, but it was a nice throw. It's a guy that doesn't really have a role in the offense because the receivers are ahead of him. have very defined roles that they're good at, be it blocking or field stretching or compiling. He's just kind of without a role right now, but every time they've given him a chance, he's flashed. So that's something to look forward going further.
Yeah. Again, it's the same thing. It's important to have these guys who you took early on or acquired in season or whatever. When you're rebuilding the roster, it's important to get that proof of concept to say, oh yes, this guy is worth keeping, is worth having around. He does have the ability to pop and make my lineup in a given week.
And also it's nice to see Treylon Burks make one of the catches of the year on that touchdown.
This was an incredible week for like acrobatic catches. The Treylon Burks one was phenomenal. The Puka Nacua one was great. Who was the Bowers one with the hand?
Right.
Did you hear the call of the Bowers one? And the guy's like,
one of these
it's incomplete. Oh my God, he caught it. Like
one of these is not like the others though. Treylon Burks, Puka, and Brock Bowers.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. That's definitely true. Puka was a 5th round pick.
And then
wait, you meant that Treylon Burks sucks. Yeah, no, that's true too.
And then Treylon Burks posted that he got randomly selected for a drug test after the game.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, that's what you get for showing up once in 4 years of play.
It's like Pat McAfee laying a guy out on a punt return and then randomly being selected for a drug test right after.
I thought about it. Who was it that he blew up on that play? Was it was it Holiday or something where he got lit up on the sideline?
I think it was Trenton Holiday.
Yeah, that was a great one.
One of the smallest players to ever play.
Right. Like, he's significantly smaller than everyone else on the field when he's out there.
I think he was about 5'5". Yeah. Poor Holiday.
He was a good returner though.
He's fast.
Yeah. All right. That wraps up this week's matchups. Let's go over and take a look at the Dynasty Daddy percentage chance to make the playoffs from our fantasy football playoff calculator. Shockingly, not much has changed at the top. We have the top 4 teams locked in. We've already clinched spots there. We have the bottom 5 teams eliminated. As it stands currently, Georgia Mike 17-9 with a projected 95% chance to make the playoffs. Dynasty Daddy projects Georgia Mike to go 2-0 this week.
Makes
Georgia
sense.
Mike, it basically means Georgia Mike is playing against Criddle, basically means that we're predicting he will finish over the median. And by we, I mean Dynasty Daddy. Next is Rug with a 53% chance to make the playoffs at currently 16-10, projected to go 18-10. So again, we're predicting a 2-0 week from Rug, which isn't shocking because Rug is playing against Judd. So it's again predicting Rug will go over the median this week. Also currently at 16-10 and with a 52% chance to make the playoffs. So really neck and neck with Rug there is Flea. Flea is projected at 17-11. So it's predicting that Flea will go under the median this week out of these 3 teams.
Yeah, it's going to be a coin flip for that last spot. Georgia Mike is sitting pretty comfortably in the 5th spot, but that 6th spot, it's probably going to come down to who makes the median or not, because if one of them makes the median, the other one doesn't, that's going to be the playoff spot.
Exactly. So there's almost no chance that Georgia Mike doesn't make it now. So we're at 95%. So it's really Rug and Flea down for 1 spot. And it's
with the point lead that he has, it would be difficult for him to not make it, even if he's the one that's under the median. We know there's 7 teams fighting for 6 median spots every week. So if one of these teams ends up not making the median, if it's one of the bottom 2 teams, then their season's over.
Right. So the difference between Rug and Flea in terms of points is about 75. Rug has a 75 point margin ahead of Flea. So if they end up tied with the same record here, if they both go 1-1, or if they both go 2-0 or whatever, it's likely that Rug will make that, get into that last spot. So Flea really needs Rug to go under the median, and she needs to go 2-0.
Yep. That's her path to get in. Yeah. She's going to need some help.
And it basically seems like if everybody kind of evens out, then it'll be Rug and Georgia Mike. But there's, 75 points is a lot. it's not an impossible margin in 1 week if Flea's team has a ceiling week and Ruggs has a floor week.
Yeah, and Ruggs got quite a few players on bye this week as well.
That is worth mentioning. All those guys that were in that Monday night game, the Giants and Patriots on his team, which, May, Henry, Johnson, which are two of his best tight ends, really his starting tight ends, in addition to Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's a lot of different options here. It's a lot of permutations possible, but it's an impossible prediction still. The first round bye predictions also here. Right now, I'm projected at a 98% chance for a first round bye. Again, there's that 1% chance that I lose by 210 points. You never know.
It feels like less than 1% chance of that happening, but
I would say, but
I don't make these odds.
Somebody has to make the odds. All right. At one game behind me at 23-3 is Big. Big has a 66% chance to get that first round bye. However, Big has a tough matchup this week. Big plays your team, Al. Mm-hmm. And you and Mel are both one game behind Big at 22-4. Mel has the points tiebreaker over both of you. So right now, if Big goes 1-1 and Mel goes 2-0, which it almost assuredly Mel is going 2-0 this week because he plays against Mr. Good News. I had misspoken before. I had said I played against him. I actually play against Flinch this week. Not really a huge difference there for our purposes, though. So Mel's almost assuredly going 2-0 this week. If Mel goes 2-0 and Big goes 1-1, then Mel is most likely going to get that second bye spot, which is why Big has made some moves now to go.
Yeah, because Big can't go 2-0 and not make up the point difference. There's no way that could happen.
This is an interesting spot for you. You can play spoiler to Big's chances for the playoffs, but I don't know if it matters to you at all.
No, at this point I'm on the outside for the bye. It's not going to happen. It would take something incredible like Mel being under the median and also me outscoring him by a lot of points.
Yeah, you would need to make up 108 points to pass him.
Yeah, so at this point, all I can do is prevent Big from wrapping up the bye. I'm not really playing for much this week besides spoiler.
All right, I'm looking right now. If Mel had a repeat of his worst game of the season and you had a repeat of your best game of the season, you would still be about 8 points shy of taking over that spot. So it really doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, I needed more help this week, but unfortunately your team choked when it mattered the most.
Yep.
So
what an awful week that I had, putting up 232 points.
Yeah, what a letdown for me specifically.
I'm honestly incredibly disappointed as well. Okay, so that gives us a snapshot of the playoff picture going into the final week. There's no real way to know for sure what will happen until it does, but we have our percentages here. 66% chance for that bye for Big, 23% chance for Mel, 12% for you, which again seems optimistic. You would need 108 points. So really it's 2/3, 1/3 for Big and Mel, I would say.
Yeah, there'll be some scoreboard watching this week, but it won't be in the head-to-head matchups.
No. I said last week that I would have a report on the highest scoring matchups of the year. I forgot that last week. I do have it for us this week. And the lowest scoring. I've got a couple of those. All right, so you asked after the week 11 matchup between Mel and Big, which put up 545.7 points. That is our highest scoring matchup of the year. Our next highest scoring matchup below that one is significantly fewer points. It was you and I playing each other in week 4, where we combined for 510 points. So 35 points fewer in week 4 than those two scored in week 11. A couple other ones that were close to that. Week 9, when I played against Flea, we put up 505. In week 2, when I played Mel the first time, Mel and I combined for 501. And in week 8, when you played against Mel, you and Mel combined for 501.
I'm on the wrong side of a lot of these matchups.
Yep. Yep. And Mel involved in almost all of these, actually.
Well, when you score a lot of points, you're going to be in a lot of high-scoring matchups, right?
Right. So the lowest scoring matchup this year, I looked at the whole year's worth. There really weren't that many that were super low because a lot of the time it's a team that's scoring very, very poorly against a team that's scoring very, very well. A couple stood out. In week 7, Judd and Mr. Good News, as you'll recall, we led the show with this one. They combined for 174.9 points. That was our second lowest scoring. Our lowest score of the year was week 9 when Criddle and Mr. Good News combined for 162.29 points. Bit of a tough one there. And I got bored while doing this and took it a step further. There are 4 theoretical matchups where if the top scoring teams were playing against each other, they would have outscored Mel and Big's week 11 score of 545. You're going to notice a pattern in this one too. In week 9, if I had played Mel, we would have put up the same 545 points. In week 9, if I had played Georgia Mike, we would have combined for 562 points. In week 8, if I had played Mel, we would have combined for 548 points. And if I had played you in week 7, we would have combined for 555. So there was only 4 theoretical matchups that would have equaled that week 11 matchup. I was in all of them.
Shocking. Number one scoring team on the season by a wide margin has all of the highest scoring potential matchups on the year.
It was interesting to me that they were all clumped in week 7, 8, and 9. I thought that was odd. Right. And while I was doing this and going through all these scores, I decided to keep track of who had the number 1 score a bunch of times, who had the number 12 score a bunch of times, and how many times each team was in the top 3. So we're getting those statistics as well. Buckle up, folks.
Riveting.
Let's start with the number 12 score. We have had only 4 different players finish with the lowest score of the week.
I'm pretty sure Max Brosmer set the record for the lowest points scored in an individual game.
What did he have? Negative?
-5 something in this game.
Impressive.
This week.
You should start him next week. Oh, we can. It's best ball. All right.
This is why I left him on the taxi. You were wondering? This was your answer.
Okay, we've had 4 different players. Yeah, that's a good point. We've had 4 different players score the 12th most points, the fewest points in the league. 4 different players have done that. JMC has done it once in week 3. Flinch has done it 3 times in weeks 8, 10, and 13. Mr. Good News has done it 4 times in weeks 1, 2, 6, and 12. And coming in with the lead with 5 weeks was Judd with weeks 4, 5, 7, 9, and 11.
It's a little surprising that Mr. Good News has such a big lead and least points scored, and he's only been the lowest scoring team in an individual week 4 times.
Right. He's
a third of the times.
Yeah, so he's come closer to that lowest score. I think if we were to put the average score in, his would be the lowest average, but
well, yeah,
and I don't mean average points. I mean average placement, I should say.
Yeah.
So because obviously
he's probably second lowest quite a bit.
Right, exactly. So for the number 1 score, we've only had 4 teams make the number 1 score. Al, you got it once in week 12. Mel had 3 times with weeks 2, 6, and 13. Big 3 times weeks 1, 10, and 11. And then my team was 6 times weeks 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're the highest scoring team by a wide margin. Right. So you would imagine that you would be the highest scoring team more often than not.
More interesting than that is I found how many times each team had made the top 3. Because this speaks to not just the one individual spike week, but more sustained up there. Mm-hmm. And it's really let me give you the list and then you give me your thoughts on it. In the top 3, 1 time is Rug, 2 times is Flea, 3 times is Georgia Mike, 6 times is Mel. Tied at 7 is your team and Big's team, and I've made it 10 times.
Only 10. Shocking that you've not made the top 3 every single week. But yeah, 10 out of 13 weeks in the top
actually
3. That's consistent, sustained ceiling excellence. It's been a good year for your team.
Yeah.
The rest of the distribution makes a little more sense.
I'm happy with that for sure. It was interesting to me that Georgia Mike, Flea, and Rugg have only combined for 6 appearances in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're fringe playoff teams. They haven't had quite the consistent ceiling that the top 4 teams have had. We've all been pretty clumped up together in the top of the points and the top of the standings all year. There's a pretty big gap between those 4 and the other 3 that have been fighting for the last 2 playoff spots all season. Not that shocking.
So those are some more random numbers that I spent a few minutes working on. Somebody give me something else to look up and and analyze for next week, and I'll bring it back to us. But
next week we're talking playoffs.
Next week we're talking playoff matchups, and obviously we're going to lead with the toilet bowl matchups. Those are the more important ones.
Right.
Catch everybody next week, but until then,
see you in the league chat.